Hello, my name is Kevin McQueeney. It's April 20th, 2015. My topic is sports gambling, more specifically the thought on if it should be legalized or not. Some background on the topic. There are a few things as American as laying down a few bucks on a football or basketball game. Sports gambling is actually illegal in all but four states. Those states are Delaware, Montana, Nevada, and Oregon. In November, major headlines were made when NBA Commissioner Adam Silver announced he was in favor of legalizing sports betting in the United States and had been in contact with the other three major American sports leagues on their thoughts on the concept. The law that outlaws gambling in the rest of the states besides those four that I mentioned earlier is the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992. Prior to that passing, though, measures had been put in place by the government and sports leagues to combat illegal sports gambling. Those included the 1961 Wire Act, which outlawed the use of wire communications among those in the gambling business, and the 1964 Sports Bribery Act, which made it a federal crime to bribe a player, coach, or referee. Like I said before, the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act of 1992 is a law that effectively outlaws sports betting nationwide, except for those four states that I mentioned earlier. It was passed on October 28, 1992, and is also known as the Bradley Act of 1992. As part of a widespread trend to legalize, regulate, and tax sports gambling to increase tax revenues, many states are trying to persuade the federal government to repeal this law. Proponents of the repeal typically assert that the law is written unconstitutionally. This is because the U.S. Constitution reserves to the states all rights not explicitly granted to the federal government, such as a gambling regulation. Many people, though, are against the idea of legal sports gambling. Many people believe gambling is very bad and already have it with bad side effects. And even more so, those people believe that sports wagering would jeopardize the integrity of the individual sports. The opponents usually point to two major scandals that have rocked professional sports in the past. Those scandals are the Black Sox scandals of 1919 and more recently the Tim Donaghy scandal. The Black Sox scandal of 1919 occurred during the World Series. It's one of the most famous scandals in baseball history. 8 players from the Chicago White Sox, later nicknamed the Black Sox, were accused of throwing the series against the Cincinnati Reds. Many baseball historians aren't really sure how it played out exactly. Accounts differ. But basically, in the end, the 8 players were put on trial for conspiracy and banned from baseball for life. Some of the players that were accused were the best of the White Sox at the time. Shoeless Joe Jackson, Clyde Lefty Williams, Buck Weaver. They all took money from a gambler named Joseph Sport Sullivan, and they ended up throwing the series. A more recent scandal is the Tim Donaghy scandal, which happened in 2007. The story first broke when the New York Post reported that FBI was investigating allegations that an NBA referee had bet on games. The story also named Tim Donaghy as the referee that was under investigation and stated that they were looking at games all the way back into 2005 and that he had ties to organized crime. Donaghy eventually pled guilty to 2 felony charges of conspiracy. He told judges that he had used coded language to tip others about players' physical condition and player-referee relations. He also specifically admitted to passing information about 2 games during the 2006-2007 season. In total, he received $30,000 to pass insider information to bookies. In addition, Donaghy also amended that he had a severe gambling addiction and he was on medication to address it. A fun fact that I found, After his conviction, a sports gambling firm tracked every game that he worked from 2003 to 2007. They discovered that during the 2 seasons investigated by the NBA, the teams involved scored more points than expected by Las Vegas sportsbooks 57% of the time. In the previous two seasons, this only happened 44% of the time. According to the firm, the odds of this discrepancy are 1 in 1,000, and there was a 99.9% chance that these results would not have happened without an outside factor. There are two sides to every story, though. Fans of legalized sports gambling believe that wagering on sports already goes on illegally, and legitimizing it would bring it out into the light of day, eliminating corruption and violence. While nearly $4 billion is bet on sports legally in Las Vegas yearly, an estimated $80 billion to $380 billion is wagered illegally through a shadow of industry of offshore online betting houses, office pools, and neighborhood bookmarks per year. This money in turn could be regulated and taxed for states to use, such as things like schools, roads, and infrastructure. Many lawmakers and people also now believe the only way to effectively police game making is to monitor sports betting markets for unusual activity. One of those lawmakers was actually Senator John McCain, who said in February that he wants Congress to re-examine the federal ban. For an example of how legalized sports betting would work, we can look to our neighbors across the pond in England to see how they run things. Over there, betting shops were first legalized in 1961. Now it's huge. They're everywhere. Thousands of betting parlors are all over the country. Sports stadiums contain gambling kiosks, and online gaming is legal. Another example of the betting popularity in Britain is that in America, it is controversial for a broadcaster announcing an NFL game to refer to the point spread, but in Britain, TV broadcasts of soccer games feature advertisements by gaming companies employing viewers to place bets on the games they are watching, complete with the live odds. Today, giant gambling companies now watch out for large, imprecise bets, and the English Premier League no longer suffers from the betting scandals that once afflicted British soccer. The governing body for soccer, FIFA, also works very closely with legal bookmarks to spot unusual betting activity. While there have been match-fixing scandals in cricket, tennis, and soccer, no single incident in British sports history compares to America's worst sports gambling scandal. Some advantages of legalizing sports gambling: it would eliminate a major way that organized crime families make money. According to interviews with former FBI agents, sports gambling may be organized crime's top moneymaker. An analogy that I saw is, in a world of sports gambling, the small fish feed the medium fish, who in turn feed the large fish, who are swallowed by the whole sharks. But at the very top, above the sharks, is actually organized crime. Legalization would also create more integrity in the sports world. This would be possible because legalizing sports gambling would bring an influx of outside oversight on both the sports leagues and the gambling community as a whole. In the early 2013, the European Union's law enforcement agency made an announcement that as many as 680 soccer matches in all levels of the sport have been manipulated or fixed by gamblers, but they could only figure these numbers out through the help of legalized sports gambling. The legal sportsbooks in Europe are corporate-run entities, much like those in Nevada, so they work with the individual leagues to make sure the integrity of the sport is protected. They want to make money, just like those ones in Nevada. For my conclusion, I believe that sports gambling should in fact be legalized on a federal level. I think the government should go back and look at the ban that they have on sports gambling. They could use the extra money to decrease the national debt. They could use it for things like infrastructure on roads, national security, things of that nature. It would also take away funds from organized crime families, and it would protect the integrity of individual sports. It's kind of alarming to me to think about how many American swords could actually be fixed right now without us actually knowing. And these are my sources. Thank you.